Oh my goodness, how good is it to have Supercars racing back? It's been a long wait, but it was somewhat worth it. I think I'm being biased because the wait was so long, but I'll give you my honest opinion on who was the biggest achiever, who had the biggest accident. That's pretty obvious. We'll get onto that anyway. But welcome to the Supercars fan show, and this is the round 1 review of the Mount Panorama 500. Now, we've got a lot to get through, but first of all, we've got to talk about my personal opinion on the races. Now, we've all got our opinion on whether Bathurst should host sprint events, but look, I just don't think it suits sprint racing. And I mean, look, endurance racing there is fantastic. We've seen that with the 12 hour and we've seen that with the 1000, but it just don't work with supercars and sprint racing. Support categories can do it. I don't know why supercars can't do sprint racing at Bathurst. Oh wait, that's why. Dirty air, and you know, it's an issue. But my honest opinion on both of the races was that race 1 was a solid 6 rating out of 10. And race number 2 was a solid 5. Now, both races had some overtaking, they had some big moments, big crashes, and look, it was a pretty clean weekend in the grand scheme of things for Bathurst. It wasn't too dirty, and look, it was a little less dramatic than what I think we anticipated. You know, Bathurst sprint events, the drivers won't be holding back like they usually do in the 1000, but it was a lot calmer than what we expected, I think. But I mean, it wasn't terrible, it just wasn't great, was it? But now it's time to hand out some awards. Now, these awards vary. There's some good ones that drivers really want to have, and there's some awards that you really don't want to have, like being drunk behind the wheel. Yeah, that is one of the awards, and while I'm talking about it, let's get into it, because Andre Heimgartner, I love the bloke, but what on earth was he doing in race 1? First of all, gets involved in an incident on lap 1 at the cutting with Scott Pye. Look, I don't think that's Andre's fault, but it happened, and yeah, Scott Pye was in a bit of trouble with that one. But then he goes straight off at turn 1, spins it around, lets a few cars go by, and then it looks alright, and then you see he comes back onto the circuit as Kostecki, Brodie Kostecki that is coming back, you know, through turn 1, and I mean, what on earth was Andre doing there? And he copped a drive-through penalty. I mean, people were saying he deserves to be banned for life. I mean, what are you on about? He made a simple mistake, and He copped the price. He definitely copped the price, and he doesn't deserve anything more than a drive-through penalty. I mean, yeah, maybe a bit of a fine, but look, it's alright. No one was harmed in the making of that drunk behind the wheel award. But, I mean, yeah, there's an example of what we're working with this year. Another one is the Quiet Achiever. Now, this is an award you kind of want to have and kind of don't want to have. Of course, it's great to achieve good things, but you also don't want to achieve things and not get the recognition you deserve. But this round's Quiet Achiever was Mark Winterbottom. This guy just went about things. He got a 4th place in the first race of the season, and I mean, he got a little bit of recognition, but not a whole lot, and definitely not as much as he deserved. And I mean, sure, he got a bit lucky that a lot of drivers ended up in trouble, but he still got a top 10, and and it was an incredible result from him. But I mean, 5th in race 2 as well. I mean, where's the recognition for Mark Winterbottom? Frosty was on fire this weekend, and Team 18 are actually, they're looking pretty strong. Scott Pye, as I said, got in trouble in race 1, but they look decent this year, and I think if they can build the momentum, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with and possibly get some decent results and some silverware. Next up is the biggest shock of the weekend. This could be a shock result, a shock performer, anything, it really. But this week it goes to Tim Slade. Now, first round back full time for Slady. He's with a new team, Blanchard Racing Team, in a Mustang. Wow. Boy, oh boy, was that car quick. And he was on for, I reckon, a podium in race number 1 of the weekend, and his only race of the weekend, because he was hunting Davison down, and on lap 36 or whatever it was, with 5 laps to go, coming into Forest Elbow, has a very similar accident to what we saw with Chaz Mostert in 2015, and all 4 wheels off the deck, and it was a shocker. And I mean, the emotion really did get the better of him, and I mean, yeah, you just got to feel bad for him, really, and it was just sad, really. And he also wins the biggest accident of the event, and as I said, what happened in the accident, and due to the accident, he did not partake in the Sunday running, which was very disappointing for a team that looks very strong this year, possibly. Don't read into it too much, just the first round, but he did look very good, and so did the car. Next up is the biggest save of the event. This one is another one that you probably don't want to have, but at the same time you kind of do want to have. But the biggest save of the weekend goes to Brodie Kostecki in race number 2. This is some iRacing stuff. What on earth happened there? It looked like he just completely stuffed it up, went straight ahead at the chase, and got a lot of air as the car bounced over the curb, bounced off the grass, bounced off the road. It was all happening for Brodie Kostecki there in the number 99 Erebus machine, but he got away with that one. We've seen the Bentley in the Bathurst 12 era in 2020 finds the wall hard there with a kind of similar accident. Not really, but it's so easy to hit the wall there, and at the speed and angle he was at, that was going to be a shocker, but he gathered it, and what a save for Brodie Kostecki. I think we can all agree that that was save of the weekend. The penultimate award goes to Jamie Whincup, and that is the biggest letdown. Now, when I say letdown, I couldn't really think of anyone, to be honest, because this is the first event. As we move on, we'll see where drivers are at, but for me, Whincup was just nowhere, and he was very quiet, and I think he'll have some good events this year, and he'll get wins, but not if he's driving the way he did this weekend. He just went about things very quietly, and I mean, he didn't get into any trouble, he just kind of didn't do too much, to be honest, and yeah, it wasn't ideal, but the opposite could be said for his teammate. The most valuable driver for me is Shane van Gisbergen. I mean, it is just obvious at this point that he was going to get it. Both races go to him. 300 points in the bag, the maximum you can get out of the event. But what else is there to say about SVG? He's won 3 races in a row at Bathurst, and Cam did put the fight to. I thought Cam was going to have that race, both races, to be honest. I mean, Supercars tipping, I tipped Cam to do pretty well, but unfortunately, just some costly mistakes that weren't really down to him, and unfortunately, he didn't get any wins, but a DNF, a second place. He's fallen back in the championship fight, and SVG's definitely the man to beat this year, and he showed that this weekend at Bathurst. And yeah, he'll have some off weekends. We saw that in 2020, but he's in great form, some of the best form, if not the best form he's ever been in, and he's driving the wheels off that Holden, and he is the MVD for round number 1.